Hi. I haven't prepared. I don't really know what I'm gonna say, but what I do know is that it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and which is important enough as it is. The problem is that I am seeing only posts and people are only talking about adult assault. Why are we not talking about childhood sexual abuse? Why are we not talking about our children? Childhood sexual assault and abuse may be, in my research, one of the most taboo topics that one can talk about. I don't know why, but I had no idea about that. Which is concerning in its own self. I am a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. A very close, trusted family member groomed and sexually abused me from a very young age until I'm not sure when. This was a repeated abuse. This was an endless cycle of emotional and mental abuse. This was my most trusted family member. I don't want to go into who it was because there could be legal ramifications that I am not ready for. But what I did want to do today is share. As scary as that is, I know I've been talking about a big trauma that I've been going through, things that I've been remembering. Well, that's it. I had been refraining from saying what the trauma was. And I think part of that had to do with shame, of course. And part of that also had to do with me wanting to share who it was. I don't think now is the time, unfortunately. But considering it is Awareness Month, I wanted to say something. Considering childhood abuse is talked about the least, I wanted to say something. Considering that, in my opinion, while there is no comparison from trauma to trauma, from person to person, childhood sexual abuse is far more complex than adult abuse, than adult assault. Again, my opinion, I am biased. I will outwardly admit that. There is something about abuse when you're a child. And I have been assaulted since then in my adult life. And to me, nothing compared to the abuse about when I was a child. Nothing compared to that. Nothing compared to being used by a family member. And not only that, my most trusted family member. So abused that you are in love with them. And because they're your family member, you don't realize what kind of love it is, and you don't realize how unhealthy it is, especially as a young child. And so, with all of that in mind, I I'm pissed. I'm pissed. I'm pissed at the world. I'm pissed that the world doesn't talk about childhood abuse. For a world that talks so much about protecting children above all else, children are the number one priority. Why are we failing them? We cannot prevent abuse if we will not admit that it happens. We can't prevent abuse if we don't talk to each other about it. It's not a dirty thing to talk about. It's a fact. It's truth. That's what there is to it. Talking about it is not going to do anything, but not talking about it does everything. And I don't mean survivors sharing their stories, and I do. I think that that's vital for that. However, I'm talking about the rest of the world. Why are we not talking about it? Why is it become such a thing that we can't even mention it? That people ostracize you for even mentioning it. That people just avoid you. Why? So, I didn't really have anything big prepared. I don't really have any speech points. I do want to share my story. Not today. That is for another time. What I wanted to do today was bring awareness. I suffer from complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I have since, I'm sure, the abuse started. That's something that doesn't go away. You can treat it, but that is lifelong. And it is a stress in a different way than what you typically hear for PTSD. It addresses trauma that has spanned over a long period of time, particularly childhood trauma in general. That's at least where you typically see that coming from. And the abuse is just something you don't get away from. It doesn't end when it ends. It doesn't, especially being a close family member, especially because everything is so tied. And I'm sitting here right now feeling immense shame talking about it because I can't even say the word, because this is even more taboo than children abuse. I am a survivor of incest. And my brain's going off right now. I want to delete this and not share this with the world at all, even just saying that word out loud. That is a particular form of trauma that I would not wish on anybody. And again, at some point I would like to talk more about it. The point of today is to bring awareness. I know that nobody's gonna probably even watch this because of the title, and I know that people that might watch it are just not going to say anything because they're uncomfortable, which I'm just gonna call it out. That's shitty. That's shitty. It's understandable. It's shitty. Super, 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 super shitty. And I am not looking for anything here other than awareness, other than shedding light. This is what this post is about. Let's start talking about it. Let's start talking about it. The Me Too movement applies to children as well. Thank you.